Welcome to the Oddball In podcast, a podcast by a neurodivergent and for neurodivergents, a safe space for us to be seen and heard. Hi, my name is Brittany and I am your host for the first episode, and we're going to just jump right off into it. I want to talk about grief after late diagnosis as a neurodivergent person and my journey so far to self acceptance. I am a self and late diagnosed neurodivergent, specifically autistic and ADHD. And I actually discovered this in the summer of 2025. So I am very early into my journey. And today I just want to talk about a few things. I have been on a self discovery journey. Self development is one of my special interests, and I have always felt different and did not have the words or language to explain what I meant by being different. Um, Growing up, I went to performing arts schools, and I have always participated in talented and gifted programs. And so for the better part of my um schooling, I was with, the others and what people would and what people would label weird or different. And so I think that I was always amongst my people in the sense, but I didn't still know why I was different because as an neurodivergent woman and back then a neurodivergent girl, I struggled heavily with social interactions and friendships. Matter of fact, even till this day, I don't do well with maintaining friendships. Now, I have a little bit more insight about the why behind that, but forever and a day, I have not been able to sustain and maintain a healthy group of friends throughout my life. And that was a huge pain point for me. And quite frankly, these days it's better, but it's still one of those things where it's like, why am I not able to maintain friendships and sustain friendships like other people, right? And now I know that those other groups of people are neurotypicals. And now knowing that I am neurodivergent has really allowed me to give myself a level of grace that I have not been able to do before. My neurodivergent brain wants to know why. I am the queen of why. The what does not satisfy anything but just a starting point to a conversation. But if you want to keep me engaged and really hook me into the situation, I need to know why. And my otherness and my weirdness has been a huge question mark for me. Why am I different? Why are others responding to me in a different way? Why energetically are others responding to me as if I have the bubonic plague? Why am I not able to maintain friendships in the ways that I see my peers doing? And effortlessly, right? Just these beautiful flowing friendships of sleepovers and hangouts and text threads and social outings. And quite frankly, some of that actually gives me the ick, like the constant and persistent interaction, yet deep down, I still have always desired to have a group of meaningful friendships. So, fast forward to late fall of 2025, the summer of 2025, I was elated and relieved to have answered the big why. I know why I felt so different my entire life. It's because I am neurodivergent and I am so happy to be a part of the community and I want to contribute and give back as much as I possibly can because the journey has been journeying, okay? Many sleepless nights, depressive states, just not really wanting to live anymore because when you I'm in my late 30s, and as time goes on and life starts to life, I really needed real answers to why I was different because I could not see myself building a new life for the next 30 plus years of my life without really knowing who I was. And I was able to finally unlock that last piece of myself. And so I was elated and excited, and it did boost my confidence. I was able to relax into who I was and just go down all of the rabbit holes in discovering online content that other beautiful neurodivergent people have made, and just to read about their journeys and their triumphs and their struggles and their tips. And it has just been amazing to tap into such a beautiful, diverse community. And come late fall of 2025, I started to feel a huge level of grief and sadness. And I didn't know why I felt such grief. And I realized that I am moving through a different stage of really wrapping my brain around my late diagnosis. Um, and at this stage, even today, with recording this podcast, the grief and sadness is still at the forefront of my emotions because I've lived 30 plus years of my life without having knowledge and awareness of really like my neurological makeup, which is a huge deal in my opinion, in order for me to navigate life in a way that serves me. Because I know my late diagnosed people can relate to this. Like, we have adopted tactics and life paths and solutions that just quite frankly does not work for us. And when we realize that we're neurodivergent and like actually really stepping and resting in that, we realize that we've lived in a lot of ways a life that was not in alignment with our neurodivergence. Now, granted, we didn't know we were neurodivergent. We just knew in on some level that we were different. But there is grief there for me that I really haven't lived life as who I really am. I'm grieving a life that I will never have, whatever that life was. My previous dreams and aspirations and goals, I have an inkling that will not be in alignment with who I know I am to be today. And there's a, a sadness that comes with that for me. Grieving dreams that I won't ever fulfill, or quite frankly, ones that I just don't even want anymore. Even with that, I am stepping into the unknown and the unknown of who I am. I haven't ever really fully experienced my neurodivergence, what that truly feels like in my body, to its fullest capacity. Because up until now, I've been masking and assimilating and doing my best to blend in because I don't want to be outcast, in a social manner. And so now I am definitely on board with allowing myself to unmask and to feel all of the feels that as a neurodivergent I have access to. But it is a weird thing to me now to know that there is a whole nother person that I have to meet. Now, I will say, what I have seen and felt from that part of me, she is so beautiful and wonderful and so deep and at times chaotic and thoughtful and a little bit all over the place, and at other times very put together, highly intellectual, super curious, and is quite frankly just a hoot. But I am afraid of what I will find, those, what I would say, those unlovable parts of me that I haven't felt or have allowed myself to see before. Those parts of me I am quite afraid of. The most scary part is to actually realize my limits. Um, I've white knuckled a lot of my life, have pushed myself beyond my limits. I have experienced several meltdowns, several shutdowns, burnouts, energetically depleted, feeling a lot of mental chaos because I am operating out of alignment with, my natural flow and my natural way of being as a neurodivergent person. And now I have to take the journey of actually allowing myself to feel my limits for real and stop at those limits and to adjust my life to those limits. And that's scary for me. I am naturally an ambitious person. Like, I've always been on the journey of, of achievement and discovery and self mastery and deep diving into the things that really interest me and reaching a level of understanding to then help myself live a better life, but quite frankly, to also help other people through the very meticulous deep diving that I do into the subjects that I deeply care about. But now I'm like, with my limits, will I still be ambitious? Will that still be, something that I self-identify with? What does my goal orientation look like? I have to assess my goals now and to really ask myself what I have told myself I wanted. Are those things really in alignment with who I am? I don't really know that. My second house Capricorn is definitely not going to allow me to rest until I really get to the bottom of this. If you're into astrology, then I would love to come back in a later episode and to deep dive further into all things astrology because that is one of my special interests. But yeah, we are just on a journey of learning and growing and literally taking an honest journey of learning and allowing myself to really be who I am. I know for a lot of us neurodivergents that freedom and independence is high on our values list. For me specifically, time freedom and financial security matters to me a lot. I like not I like freedom to deep dive into my special interests, to really be able to dedicate time to the things that I actually love to do, like photography, going to museums, um, deep diving into psychology and self improvement and astrology. And, I'm a full fledged grown person out here, so I have, financial responsibilities that have to be taken care of, But I do understand that my the blood that is running through my veins, like my life force is fed through the things that light me up. And it is my meaning and reason for wanting to even exist for most days, looking forward to being able to deep dive into something that I'm interested in for an hour in the evening time. Gives me the energy to go about and quite frankly to do the mundane things that, us adults have to do, like working, taking care of our family, meeting other obligations and responsibilities that we do have. But what lights my soul and keeps my heart warm is for me to do things that I love to do, like recording this podcast and being here with my peoples. Now I question, will my neurodivergence have the bandwidth to build a life that allows for this, right? For me to be able to have the privilege to dedicate larger and larger pockets of time for me to indulge in the things that truly light my world up. I don't know. Now, this next thought is what inspired today's episode. I had the chilly resignation that I never thought or realized until recently, and I know that was the source of the grief. I have realized that my autism, my ADHD, my neurodivergence is permanent. As I mentioned earlier, self development and psychology. I don't think I mentioned psychology, but that's also one of my special interests. And I always felt that my limitations could be improved upon, eventually, just given the right tactic or just enough time, I could, you know, on some level fix it. And now, as knowing that I'm neurodivergent, these are, like, for instance, burnout, energy management, shutdowns, emotional overwhelm, overstimulation from my environment. I will have to manage this until I transition off this planet. And that came with the level of sadness, realizing that I would have to learn to live life differently to maintain my mental and emotional wellness. These are literally non negotiables for me at this point. This day and age, mental health and emotional health, and going to therapy and meditating and getting out in nature and all of the things, these are like very trendy type topics that people talk about. But I understand that even if all of this becomes, you know, no longer a trend or, cool and to do these things, I will have to do mental and emotional wellness rituals for the rest of my life to just maintain a healthy homeostasis, to maintain a healthy state of mind, to maintain a healthy emotional state. Realizing I don't know what life will be in the future also has a level of fear that I just really can't explain at this point, because I have not lived a conscious life as a neurodivergent person ever. And so I am literally learning about myself in real time. Now I've always been neurodivergent. I've always had meltdowns and shutdowns and been um, emotionally sensitive and overwhelmed by my emotions and needing a lot of downtime and alone time to recharge. But now I will consciously live my life with these in the forefront and adjusting my life to them in order to maximize my quality of life. I haven't done that before. I don't know what that looks like. And I don't know who this person that I will continue to walk to be just yet. Now, just to pivot a little bit, those are kind of like my woes and angst that I have at the top of my mind. But girl, I am so thankful for now knowing that I am ADHD. I am chipping away at this perpetual state of cognitive dissonance that I feel like I've been in, because, and I'll explain. So I've always been neurodivergent, right? I have always reacted to the world in a neurodivergent fashion. Now, it might not have been an outward expression of this, but baby, my nervous system been responding as a neurodivergent person forever and a day. Yet, and there's a level of cognitive dissonance because I wasn't consciously living as a neurodivergent person. That was not a part of my identity. It wasn't something that was in the forefront of my mind. It wasn't a part of my decision making. It wasn't a part of how I built or approached relationships, how I built and approached my life goals and dreams. None of that. And so I am relieved that I can leave that cognitive dissonance behind, one layer and one chip at a time. I'm tired, y'all. My body, my nervous system, my being is just tired of. I got choked up, y'all. My being is tired of living a life that doesn't serve me, living a life as someone that I'm not. She's tired. She's ready. She is ready to live a life of freedom and liberation from all of the chains and expectations that the world, that society, and most importantly, I've put on myself, of thinking that if I just push myself more, that I would be good enough. That if I just, that if I was just normal enough, I would have friends. That if I could just be out and do a little bit more social things, that I would be accepted. That if I just tried a little bit more not to be as weird, that people wouldn't be off putted by me. And now I am willing to do the radical acceptance of being a neurodivergent woman existing on this planet. And I'm willing to go through all of the stages of grief and loss. And my intention and my highest prayer is that I am able to live life authentically and in a way that is in alignment with who I am at my core. I'm also having a blast with integrating my rich inner world with my external existence. I have kept a lot of those weird parts of myself to myself and have enjoyed alone parts of myself that most people haven't seen. I do want to integrate more of that rich inner world with my outer world through showing up as authentically as I can in a safe manner in all spaces that I am a part of. And I'm excited for that. I know that this is going to add to my mental health in a positive way. It's going to heal parts of me to now allow myself to be seen as more of my authentic self. And more importantly, for me to actually feel and to experience and see myself as authentically as I can. I am so excited and happy about that because that means that your girl is going to start sharing more of her special interest. And you know how we are about ourselves, about our special interest. Okay, y'all. So, in closing, time has been my saving grace. As being in my late 30s and experiencing enough life at this point, I am able to stand in this place in my life and feel confident with me knowing this about myself. That yes, I am neurodivergent. That yes, I have been dealing with mental and emotional and social issues for as long as I can remember. And now I know I am not crazy. There is nothing wrong with me. I am just different. And time has allowed me to see this, to fully experience it, and to know it. Time has been a gift. It has allowed me enough space and experiences in order for me to know that there is nothing wrong with me. I'm just me. And I am excited to be on this journey. I hope you all come along and also you share your journeys, your triumphs, your struggles, and we can build a community that's safe for us to be seen and heard. Until next time, you all take care